When you're trying to figure out how to play over 2 5/1s in the key of C, D minor, G7, C, and not just play the basic bitch chords, what you want to do is take a look at the harmonies that are inside the C major scale. Here's C major. It contains 7 harmonies, 7 chord types when you stack thirds. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5. Now, 3 of these chords, A minor, D minor, and E minor, have another name to them, an inversion. A minor 7 is also C6. They contain the same notes. A, C, E, G is A minor 7, C, E, G, A is C6. Same shit, different bass notes. So this could be a C6 if C is in the bass, or an A minor if A is in the bass. Same goes for F6 and D minor 7. And same goes for G6 and E minor 7. There's one more structure that has 2 names. B minor 7 flat 5 and D minor 6. Now the first thing we're going to do with this information is check out the sounds against a C root when I'm trying to play over my Wanne chord. Now here's an important concept to internalize. The C triad is the only truly resolved stable sound when I'm playing a cadence. If I have a 2 5/1, when I'm going to a C triad, it's all good, it's stable. When I use any 4-part harmony, it's always unstable. There's always some degree of tension in it. Now, when I look at all of the chords that come out of the key of C and I ask myself, which of these sounds can I use to create consonants? There are only 3, because anything that contains the avoid note, F, is going to create a suspension. Why? F, the 4th, is a tension that's located a half step above a chord tone. It pulls to that E, meaning when I have the F in the chord, it wants to go there. So any chord that has F in it is going to create this pull. D minor, the 2 chord, has an F. So if I put a D minor 7 on a C root, it's going to suspend the sound. It's not consonant, it's dissonant. If I put an F major 7 on a C root, it's going to pull. If I put a G7 on a C root, it has an F. If I put a B half diminished, it has an F. So 4 out of the 7 sounds are going to create suspensions, but 3 are usable. A minor 7, which is also C6. I have C major 7, and I also have E minor 7. Now, if I rank them by the amount of tension that they give, it would go something like this. A minor 7 is the least amount of tension. That note on top, the A, ooh, wants to go down, ooh, here, but it doesn't want to do it very badly. You can hear it in a 2 5/1. If I use a C major 7, it pulls a lot harder. Or it wants to go to either of these places, but there's a lot of pull in that sound. If I use an E minor there, this sound, against the C root, it has the most amount of tension from the usable consonant sounds. Now, C major 7 has another problem, which is some of its inversions sound like dog shit, meaning this is okay, Holdsworthy. This is great, but this. The fuck is that, right? So that's not a great sound when I'm trying to invert it freely. That's why 6 chords rule. You really want to use a lot of 6 chords in your vocabulary because you can invert them freely. All their inversions are going to rock. And that's why you see people like Wes Montgomery and Joe Pass use them all the fucking time. Now here's the thing that you can do with an E minor 7 sound moving to an A minor 7 sound, or if I call them by their inversions, a G6 moving to a C6. You can create the sound of a tension going to a resolution. So here's an E minor over a C bass note. going to an A minor over a C bass note. Listen to that. Ah, now this is something Joe Pass uses all the time. Again, in context, 2-5-1, and I'm going to apply that to the 1 chord. 2, 5, 1. Harmonic fucking genius. Here it comes, right? You're almost a harmonic fucking genius.
Do you feel that harmonic genius power bubbling inside you? It's coming.
If you just take a look at that E minor on a C root, it gives you the 7th, 3rd, 5th, and 9th. And if you look at an A minor, it gives you the 6, 3, 5, and root, meaning 2 common tones between these 2 structures. The 3rd and the 5th are in both of them. And the other 2 need to go down a whole step to get from one place to the other. So in every inversion, you're going to have 2 common tones and 2 voices moving stepwise whole tone at the same time in parallel motion. So you can really kind of look for that. Now you're going to notice that 2 of the structures, when you're using drop 2s like I am, give you this. Now in jazz, what you're getting here is a big no-no. It sounds really not as good as this when you get here. Why? Because the soprano is stuck. You have a common tone in the top voice, and it makes it feel like you're not playing lines anymore. Well, what can you do? Use your fucking right hand to make some lines happen by alternating the alto and the soprano. All I need to do is go. I made a line just by going boom, be-ah, inside the voice. Make something happen. Okay, you can do that here too. Here's E minor, going to A on that C root. If you just go and you're like, this chord is fucking broken, it's not broken. You're just dumb, right? What you want to do is break it up and make a line. So here's how I make lines and use all these inversions to climb down. That's all vocabulary on that C chord. Now the next step is adding a passing diminished chord. Check this sound out. Ha! The fuck was that? So now these 2 voices stay the same, the 3rd and the 5th. But all I'm doing is between the 7th and the 6th, and between the 2nd and the root, I'm adding a passing tone. Now, I'm not sure which inbred diminished that comes from. I don't care. To me, it's just a voice leading thing that connects these 2 sounds. If I ask myself, well, in the key of C, which diminished it is, it's a weird one. It's the one built on the flat 2, which inverts to be the 3rd, the 5th, or the flat 7 of the key. That's the sound that I typically use to move in a cadence to D minor or to F major, meaning to the 2 minor or to the 4 major, to the subdominant sounds inside the scale. But this is not a cadence, meaning I'm not going E minor and then the diminished that would be the replacement of the 5 chord of C into C. That would be B diminished. It would give me this sound. That's very final, right? That's like saying 5-1, right? That thing of the tritone resolution. I don't want that. All I want is smooth voice leading. So I want to just grab that specific diminished, and that gives me this beautiful thing of connecting the lines. I have so I'm using C sharp or E diminished or G diminished or B flat diminished, however you want to think about it, to connect these 2 sounds. But now look what happened. My 2-5-1 became this. Do you feel that harmonic genius power bubbling through your veins, right? Fucking good. So now let's take it a step forward. When I take a look at my 2 chord, how do I apply this concept to the 2-5? And this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Now, all I need to do is do the same thing I did to the 1 chord to that 2 chord. But how do I get there? It's a minor chord. The other one was a major. Before we're ready to do that, let's see how we use that exact same concept on A minor instead of C. Now, we said that C6 and A minor contain the same exact notes. Let's say we have a totally different situation, like Black Orpheus, right? Do, dee, do, 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 dee, do. That's A minor, and what we call a minor 2-5-1. B minor 7 flat 5, E7. Forget about that minor 2-5-1. We're just asking ourselves, what can we play on a minor chord? Well, we can play exactly the same shit, but it looks different, and you have to think about it differently because you have to apply it to an A minor. So if you just think about playing a minor chord from the 5th of a minor chord, you get to the right sound. Just like if you think about playing a major 6 chord from the 5th of a major chord, you get to that sound. Meaning if I think about this as G major 6, it's the right sound, and this is C6. Or I think about this as E minor 7 on that A minor, going to A minor. Now, I can bridge those two sounds in the same way. So if I have do dee dee do 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 dee woo, that's a great sound. Now, that works on Dorian chords too, and that's the real kicker. Why does it work? Well, when I'm using those two 4-part harmonies, they have 2 common tones and 2 different notes from each other. So that means they have 6 notes total, right? I take 2 structures that are 4 notes each, and 2 of them are common. I have 6 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means that from the scale, I'm eliminating just 1 note. That note, in the case of the key of C, is F, the avoid note of C Ionian, the 4th, and the avoid note of Aeolian, the flatted 6. I'm taking out the Fs. If I take a look at the scale that I have, that's A, B, C, D, E, G, no F. Well, the only difference between an A Aeolian and an A Dorian is one has F and one has F sharp. But if I gave myself this harmonic system that eliminates Fs altogether, it means I can apply it now to any situation that's A Aeolian or A Dorian, because I'm avoiding that sound. So that tells me that I can apply this concept to my 2 chord in C as well. That's the kicker. That's the interesting part. So if I just think about a minor chord from the 5th of that D minor, that's A minor, and then from the root of that D minor, that's D minor. And if I think about that diminished chord that connects their voice leading, that keeps the same principle, it's as if I'm transposing that concept to the key of F up a 4th. But the weird thing is that I can now apply it to both D minor and G7. It gives me a suspended sound on the dominant on that G7. So here's my 2-5, and here's my 1. When you're applying this concept, try to sing the bass notes to where you really hear what you're doing. Do, 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 do. On that 5 chord, do. That's a very suspended sound, right? It gives me this D minor kind of sound on that G root. And the A minor sound is tension against it. And then when you resolve. And that's cool as shit. Now, one more step forward that you can take with this concept is introducing that minor 6 or minor 7 flat 5 sound we talked about in the beginning. D minor 6 has the notes D, F, A, B. B minor 7 flat 5 has the notes B, D, F, A. They are, in fact, the same shit. Now what you can do is use that sound as your consonant sound and pair that with the sound off the 5th of the minor chord, meaning A minor to that D minor 6. A minor, D minor 6. A minor, D minor 6. A minor, D minor 6. But I can use that same diminished to bridge them. And now I'm going to have A minor, 2 voices moving down a half step to the diminished, 2 staying the same. And now 3 voices moving in parallel motion down to get to that sound. And that's pretty fucking cool. Do you feel the harmonic power? And at this point, you should be able to just apply this to 2 5-1s, because you understand that on the 2 chords you can do all this, and on the 1 chords you can do all this. And you can apply it to different areas of the neck, the inner strings. And the very bottom of the neck. And it's fucking cool as shit. If you like this, we made a whole series breaking it down on our Patreon, which is the mega Patreon, the best Patreon on the face of God's green earth. Join us there. Comment below to get a free month. Not every one of you, only 1 comment will win a free month on our Patreon. And we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, tell your grandparents, your uncle, your great aunt. They all will love it. They'll love the Patreon too, and we'll see you.